Welcome to an extremely special episode of RideForUnity's BikeCast. I'm here in Kigali, the capital city of Rwanda, an amazing, amazing country in Central Africa. And my guest today is none other than the Minister of Sports, Nelly Mukazayire. Minister, what a pleasure it is to be here.
It is my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's really wonderful. I have to ask something before we get started. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Correctly.
Really?
I was wondering if you run that after.
I've been practicing it in the mirror for the last 48 hours, so I just wanted to make sure I got it correct.
Very impressed.
It's really amazing to be here. This is only my second ever visit to Rwanda. Very much a visitor in this amazing country, and I'm blown away. And I'd love to get to know a little bit more about your journey, to understand the vision for sports in this country, and to see where we're going. And we can talk a little bit about RideForUnity as well at the end. So please, let's start with a little bit of an introduction about your own personal journey. How is it that you came to be in this position today as Minister of Sports?
Well, as a Rwandan, sometimes it's very difficult to disassociate one's journey and the country's journey, especially because of how it's called history. And part of what I'll be talking about, my journey, will come in also in the journey the country had to go through. Let me maybe start by saying that I was born and raised in Rwanda. Did most of my studies in Rwanda, University of Rwanda, and then I did my master's. I am an economist by background, and then we'll get to how I find myself now in Ministry of Sport. But generally, as a person in my journey, I'm a person who has always loved and embraced sport in my life. I played basketball in secondary school and university. Played a little bit for our national team, and then, of course, pursued other ways. So I've always had a sport in my activities, in my day-to-day. Even today, I still practice. I do play basketball a little bit as amateur, but I still practice sport. I do CrossFit, weightlifting, so sport has always been there. But me finding myself now in this position is mostly of a journey of a country that one offered opportunities to pursue life and to be able to achieve what you commit yourself to achieve, no matter the conditions. I would say that this is a country that is only 30 years old, if one counts that we really started living after the genocide against the Tutsi with the liberation we had. We all, and including me, got an opportunity to live again or see hope or see a belief that there can be a future because of a leadership that had a vision. A leadership that showed us that even though we were in the worst situation ever as a country and as individuals, because the context of Rwanda is very complex. People had realities that are challenging in terms of having hope of tomorrow. Survivors, those who lived in refugee for a long time, coming back in the country, families that find themselves not having any part, confusing situations where part of your families have been killed, other parts of your families have been involved in the genocide. So much complexity in the situation the country was picking up, and at the same time in a totally economically and politically and even infrastructure-wise destroyed country. So that vision of the leadership that picked up all the pieces is the vision that set a path for me and so many others to be where we are today. In that journey, the vision and leading us to realizing that the foundation that will make us be able to rebuild our own lives and our country is, first of all, to go through a unity journey. And that's unity journey which requires, forgiveness, reconciliation, sharing a common purpose of rebuilding. So that is a starting point, and it's very important to understand that, because without that, I wouldn't have had even a path to go through, and so many like me in this country. The second is not only the vision, is that leadership that set, as I mentioned earlier, equal opportunities. I was able to go in school, good schools, was able to get every opportunity to buy merit, was able to be given a platform to compete and be able to also go through the path of growth and growing. So the starting point is the whole ecosystem, is the whole leadership that gives you that platform to grow. But the second now is your own one to take up all those opportunities. And what led me is 3 keys or 3 pillars that I'll go through quickly. One is confidence. It's trying to sit and realize that there's something that is in me that is not in anybody else. Everyone is unique. Everyone is special. And sometimes people confuse confidence with pride. It's different. Confidence is more of realizing the unique talent that is in you and realizing that you're the only one who can live it and put it to the highest level. Nobody else can do it for you. So that helped me also in the journey, sitting and realizing I am Nelly. There's something I can bring in this world. There's something special in me nobody else is going to have. So that's the starting point. The second one is competitiveness or competence. Sometimes we do have that confidence, but we don't put in the work that had to put in. So you need to work hard. You need to learn. You need to study. You need to work hard. You need to put in some effort. The level I see at sometimes with young generation that includes, a sense of entitlement, a sense of someone else who is going to do it for you, it never works. If you really want to follow a path of transformation, a path of being successful, however much people can qualify being successful, by the way, but you have to put in some work. You have to put in some dedication and work hard for that and seize opportunities that you're seeing. The third is also consistency. And this is where I will link it with sportsmanship, how you call it, or sportswomanship. Sport is one of the realities or contexts we live in that help you to change your mind, your body, and even your soul. It is one thing I've seen that can affect the whole human being, whether you're going through good moments or bad moments. So consistency equals discipline. And that has been a leading part for me also, to know that you've got to do what you have to do. It's not about that you like it. It's not about that you want it. It's not about you have to do what you have to do. Discipline goes with also sacrifices, goes also with, being focused. It's a continuous journey, by the way. I would never say I've got there. No. I still struggle. I still go through all that today. So the personal work that I was talking. So the first one I mentioned is the ecosystem, the country, the vision, the political will that says that. The second one is your personal work you have to do, however you juggle around it. And the third one now is also acknowledging that you're here to serve and that you're part of this nation to build it, and that any opportunity you be given is an opportunity to serve. So I was given opportunity in different positions as I worked 10 years in the office of the president. I worked 5 years in Rwanda Convention Bureau. And then, that experience that also added value. I worked in Rwanda Development Board. And then I was also trusted my leader that I can add value also in Ministry of Sport, which is also a passion I have, which is an industry where I connect personally because I love sport. I practice sport. I'm really grateful to be in this position now. So in a nutshell, it's a combination of a country that has a vision, that set a platform, that gives you opportunities. It's a combination of some work you do on yourself, because as I close that chapter, sometimes you come from a history that can tell you that you can't do it. Pick on it personally, I have a history which is not easy to feel that you can do it. I have part of my family that are survivors, and part of my family, in particular my mother, who was involved in the genocide. At some point, I had a lot of voices that were telling me that you cannot make it. But what made me realize that you can make it is the combination of the three. And leadership, and is showing you that It's not about your mother. It's not about your father. It's not about where you come from. It's not about your religion. It's not about your height. It's not about why. It's about the vision that our country has, and that you're Rwandan, and that you have a role, you have space, and then the work you do on yourself to fit into that, and now having a purpose, which is where my gear. It's serve my country, because when I serve my country, I'm serving myself and future generation. So that's where we're now.
What a fantastic, there's so much there in what you said just now. I'm blown away by, I agree totally with what I've seen here. The country's 30, 31 years old.
Mm.
I'm amazed with what I see as a visitor. I do not say I travel the world. I'm very fortunate. I do not see social accountability and community building at the level that I have seen here in Rwanda. I can't understand logically how we can go from the traumatic past of 1994, the genocide against the Tutsi, to where Rwanda is in 2025, at the pinnacle of Africa, showing the way forward. And when I listen to your words, Minister, I hear that you put it down to the leadership of giving people the belief, because there's one thing of being capable, but actually believing that you're capable. And I think we all need some external force to bring that out of us. And you say that that's down to the leadership of this country, that is in you particularly, that has allowed you to believe in yourself, get that confidence and work on your competence, and then take the personal accountability to work hard to get to where you are. How can we replicate this model? And I'm not talking just on national level. I'm thinking in business, in entrepreneurship, in innovation. When people talk about leadership, I think the world is starting to understand it's not about telling people what to do. It's about bringing the best out of your people.
Absolutely.
What are the key aspects here?
I think one thing is what you just mentioned. Leadership is not about showing the way. It's about going through that way. Sometimes we call it lead by example, but it's more of replicating or living what you say. And I most of the time, and also all of us Rwandans, we got to a point where we understood, and we're still educating ourselves in our different interactions as a country. We sometimes have time to sit in what we call a national dialogue, where as Rwandans we sit and we are evaluating ourselves. Where are we? Because we know you need to face yourself and be able to say, am I doing right? Am I going in the right path? The anchor is that we've understood that Rwanda is what we've got. There's no us without Rwanda. That's the identity. That's the focus. That's the anchor. And with that, you get a clarity that no matter how I will go, no matter how I will do it, we think differently, we work differently, we approach things differently, but the goal is the same, is one, is Rwanda. And the second one is that because of our tragic history as well, we've understood that we won't wait for anybody to come and save us or rescue us or transform our lives. We were saved by our own might. They were living in exile for so many years. They decided to change that course of history. They decided to come and liberate their own country and liberate orphans, Rwandans. So it's all about us, Rwandans. Of course, we do partner with others along the way, because you always need another hand, and it's always welcomed. And that is why you even be. We also always welcome you along the journey, but you are the one who has to set the tone and define what you want and how you will get there. So I guess in replicating the modest journey we have so far had, because it's still modest, trust me, where we want to get is still a long way to go, is one having a common identity of what is that cause or that purpose we are having in common. For us, it's Rwanda. We have to serve, we live for it, we serve it, and we do it for ourselves, because Rwanda equals Rwandans, right? That's one. But the key thing, I will come back to it, of course, is having a leadership that has a certain vision of the future of the people, and that is bringing in everybody to be part of it. That is one key component. There are three principles or choices we have made, if I may quote my president, we have chosen to be one. We know without unity, we cannot make it. The Rwandan identity is critical. We have to be one. We have to define ourselves as Rwandans. The second one, we have chosen to be accountable to one another. You need to feel that I will ask you what you're doing. You will ask me what I'm doing, because we're accountable to one another. We are serving the same and common purpose, then we are accountable to one another. The third one is to think big. We are a small country in size, but we are not small people. We are not with small ideas. We think big. We know there's much that we can achieve, and that's why we don't set any limit in terms of what we can do. So those are some of the practical steps we had to take. Would they be the ones others will take? I don't know. Would they work the same way? I don't know. But at least for us, it's working, and it's still a work in progress.
I think that the growth, obviously, it all started in 1994, of course, and even as people and as nations, our difficulties become our growth. They're intertwined. You don't have one without the other. One of the things that I'm blown away with here, and you mentioned it before, is, first of all, let's talk about unity, because obviously with RideForUnity, the alignment here is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the Rwandan people had to unify against an external threat. It was internal issues, small word, internal trauma, the ability to unify where the country was so disunited to the extent of the genocide against the Tutsis, of course. And one of the things you mentioned, which I picked up on here a little bit, is the ability to think critically, is not to get swept away in groupthink. I feel that you're always looking at yourself, are we doing the right thing? Questioning, are we going in the right path? And I think so many people can learn from that, both from a personal growth point of view. Businesses need to learn from that. A lot of boardrooms I've sat in, everyone nods, goes around the table, yes, 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 and it's just groupthink. And you need that person to sit there and say, are we right? What don't we know? And I see that all through Rwanda in the short time that I've been here. How important is critical thinking in order to gain that personal and social accountability?
It is very crucial. It is very crucial. And that is why intentionally in the systems and structures of our leadership, that mechanism of self-critical thinking and self-analysis is that. I'll just give like 3 layers. I mentioned the national dialogue. Every year, this is a gathering where the president, the leadership, name it, executive, judiciary, legislative, and the people of Rwanda are sitting together in one room. Of course, all of them cannot fit in, but we have online and we have on telephone, and we are discussing the matters that concern the country, really matters that are deep, social life, political life, economical life, and also our social cohesion. This is where we discuss about the ideological identity we have of being Rwandan, and we discuss on that. How are we doing in terms of these conversations? That's a national dialogue, and it's open. We do have also citizens outreach. These are outreach that the president of the republic does in our country, goes to the population. It's open to the entire population. Ministers are there. Trust me, some of us, we don't want to sit there because the population are asking questions of things you've not done. You're accountable there. You go and respond to that in the public. All those are intentional structures of leadership to show that there's a layer of self-critique, talking to one another, talking to oneself, but also accountability. Then we do have what we call performance contracts. For example, as ministers, we sign performance contracts for Dr. President of what we are going to achieve. And all those are things that the population want. And at the end of the year, you are evaluated. You are held accountable. Why did you not achieve this? And we do have cabinet meetings where the conversations are really open conversations. If things are not happening, why? What should we do to make them happy? So all those layers. And we do also have population gatherings. For example, when we do our public cleaning day, after the public cleaning day, we always have a conversation. And this is where people discuss in their own area. What are we doing? How can we improve our area? What can we do better? So all those are mechanisms and structures that have been set because we believe self-critique is very, very key to make sure that you are heading to the right direction, especially in a society where the social fabric has been really torn. So you need to rebuild it. As you build the economy, as you build the infrastructure, the social fabric is the most fragile, but it's the most crucial as well. So it is very fundamental to have the critical and self-inspection, whether it's individual, whether, as you mentioned, it's community, whether it's business, and as a country.
Fantastic. I'm starting to understand, even though I can't fathom how a country has grown so much in such a short time. I'm now starting to put those pieces together, and it makes a lot of sense. Still incredibly impressive, of course. So we've thought about how Rwanda is now at the pinnacle of African society in 2025, but there are still plenty of challenges.
Absolutely.
So where do you see the biggest difficulties and challenges that you face?
Well, one will always structure challenges that are related to the growth, to the context of the country, right? As a country that's still heavily depending on importation, when you look at our trade deficit, we still really struggling. And everything will be, how do we get out of that? Because without economic transformation, without transforming people's lives, without really alleviating poverty, and then you'll still be struggling as a country. So that is where we still have the biggest challenge, is to come up with the right solutions that drive a faster economic transformation. We are on the right path for transformation. If I give an example, in 1994, our GDP was even minus 0. It totally collapsed. Today, with a modest journey we had to go through 30 years down the road, we're at 1,004 per capita. We have a big ambition. By 2035, we want to reach to 4,000. And by 2050, we want to reach at 12,000 GDP per capita. So that's not just a statistic. That's a number that shows you quite huge work you need to do, because transformation does not come, just by putting a statistic there. That shows a lot of work that has to be done in investments. That shows a lot of work that has to be done in import substitution. That shows a lot of work you have to do in employment. We have 70% of our population are young people. That's a lot of work you have to do in education, all that. So the energy, the focus, the strength you need to be able to make that shift is where the biggest challenge is, the biggest work is. And of course, in addition to that, it's also the global realities. We had a trajectory, then you have COVID coming up. Also some of those setbacks makes you go back and readjust your plans. Global realities that we have in different contexts that will again affect the country by its context. A landlocked country, still developing. So all those are also external challenges that come and make you take a step back and readjust. But we believe we can get there, because if we've got where we are 30 years down the road, we believe with the right mindset, the focus, the working hard, the sense of urgency that is needed, we can get there. And that is what we are looking forward to. That's what we continue focusing on.
I certainly back you guys to take it above and beyond, absolutely, with what I've seen. Let's talk about sport again. The other day, I was lucky enough to go to my first ever basketball game in Rwanda, and I went to BK Arena. It was the final one.
It was almost having a hat.
It was unbelievable. I could see His Excellency jumping up and down in his seat. But even before the excitement of that last-minute buzzer beater, I turned up early. I've been in the sports industry for 25 years. I've worked in broadcast and production as well. I could have been forgiven if I'd have just opened my eyes briefly and thought that I'm in Madison Square Garden. I've been to NBA games. As a foreigner, you sometimes have a preconception about coming to Africa, and you think, it's going to be a certain level. It was an NBA-style production. And this is a collaboration between BAL and the NBA. We know that. But that also indicates to me the intelligence behind what we're trying to do. Let's collaborate with people who know what they're doing. But we see here in the BK Arena, full stadium of happy, joyous Rwandans celebrating their team at a production level that is absolutely top class. And I think that is indicative of where the country is going and especially where sports going. And I'll make another comment about what I saw that night. On the Nairobi team, they had female coaching staff. On the Rwandan team, you had female coaching staff. On the parquet, you had female referees. This is also very, very clear that this is a direction that is going well above Western Europe and the US. This platform that is given to absolutely everyone. Rwandans well known for having majority female parliament for many, many years. And things like that. So how do you see that continuing? I would like to put a focus also on the place for women in this country. What are the challenges that still exist? I mean, we can talk forever about how fantastic opportunities we get there. But what are the challenges that still exist for women and maybe women in sport? Or are we totally on a perfect trajectory?
Thank you. So I think coming back to that, Rwanda has a vision to become a global sport hub. And when we say that, we know it's not just a nice sentence to put out there. We know it means some crucial work and intentional decisions that have to be made in terms of becoming that. And we see that mainly in three pillars. If you want to become a global sport hub, you have to develop your talent. You have to really have excellent talent, the programs that are developing your talent. That's one of the pillars. But the second one is also to have the right infrastructure. And our leadership has been clear quite from the war that that is a sector where you have to invest before you may even attract. The decision of building the BK Arena, for example, that BK Arena was built in 6 months.
Sure.
Because at the same time, our leaders was pointing us towards having, a league like BAL, where you're like, I'm seeing Africans, they're excellent there. Why don't we have a league made by Africans for Africans happening in Africa so that we give more platforms to African talent? And that is a discussion that came from our leaders, visionary showing that way. But would we have been able to do it without such infrastructure? I doubt. Today we have them, these arenas in Rwanda and Senegal, but BAL now is growing. Now it's growing in Morocco. Now it's going in South Africa. It's growing. Now we have new teams, including, for example, the Kenyan teams. Their first time to go in the basketball African League. So infrastructure and the right type of infrastructure is very key. You have to invest in that. This stadium was renovated so that it can be at the level of the standard of hosting those international competitions, even African competition at regional level. So that is the second leg. The third one, if you really want to become that hub, is what we are doing, even with you and other events. You have to create an ecosystem that enables sport business. Sport business includes events, includes broadcasting, includes creative industry. Because if you don't connect with them, and that's where you create jobs, that's where you're giving more opportunity for growth. I recently read a report by UNICEF that showed that $1 invested in sports generates $124 because of the impact it has on different other sectors. So it is one of the most valuable and recreating values, by the way, sectors today because of all the connectivity you have. So it is intentional now to invest in sport and to have all this. And we're happy to see that it's showing that image. We know the journey is still long, it's still there, but we're happy to see that it is coming up in that way. And when we look at it in Rwanda, it's not only about Rwanda, it's also about Africa, because we know there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of talent, and we need to give them opportunity to grow and to seize all those opportunities. Women in sport, Rwanda is very intentional. Well, I'll start by even acknowledging the fact that the minister was
absolutely.
So then it's not only in sport, it's so many sectors, but in sports, the country is intentional. And we are seeing really combined effort with also other like-thinking people, even in Africa or in even different organizations. As you've just mentioned, seeing women, in the technical team of the different male teams on the court and all that. But it's something people have to drive and continue existing on it. I'll give a small example. Now we have a program in secondary schools that we call Isonga, which means being top. In that Isonga program, it's a requirement that we have boys teams and girls teams. Any discipline. We have 6 disciplines now we are focusing on. But if you're not intentional, for example, there's some of the discipline we saw that the first 3 months when we started the program, you have a full team of boys. You don't even have a team of girls. You have to continue saying, we need girls here. We need girls here. You know, some of them, football, handball. Most of girls will go for just volleyball. They just feel maybe volleyball, but pushing them, saying, no, we will have a boy team, a girl team.
Yeah.
Then those are practical things you need to do because there's so many realities that will make a girl child not necessarily go into sport. And another thing is also to go in detail to understand all those background realities that sometimes will not allow them to do. Because if you're not addressing them, then you're lying to yourself. It will not work. They will come maybe one day and another day they won't come because there's something there that you're not tackling. I won't go into details. It's a lot when you go in the sport industry, but those are realities of how we are creating. Yeah. And then you have also to tackle them in detail with those realities without boring them. Do we still have challenges, women in sport or even in other sectors in Rwanda? One big challenge we still have is the confidence of women. To be honest, in Rwanda, the political statement and will, for example, in our constitution, there's that in any decision-making position, you have to have 30% of women. It is in our own constitution. The challenge is, are the women ready to take up that 30%?
Yeah.
Are they feeling confident enough to seize opportunities they have, to build their skills and their abilities and knowledge to take up the 30%? That's the biggest challenge. You put funds there for women entrepreneurship. You ask for business plans. You get 10 business plans for men, 2 business plans from women. Why? So that is the challenge we have, is still going back, getting them out of the house, getting them out of the home, having girls going to school, like some of the programs our Excellence, the First Lady, has in Buto Foundation, which is for girls' education, doing amazing job, showing girls that you can do science, technology, you can be pilots, you can be engineers, you can be, name it. That is it. Once they are gone there, then they are open-minded. They know there's a 30% for them to take even 50, even 60. So to be frank, the biggest challenge is still there. It's still in, are we building ourselves to take up that? Are we being bold enough to know that we can do that? And are we also realizing that it's not just about the number of 30%, it's about relevancy. It's about what you are also bringing on table. Yeah. Because as much as you supposed to have 30%, we need capable 30%.
Of course, of course.
Just filling the numbers.
Absolutely. And I think that we've seen so many places around the world that really do just tick a box. And the impressive thing about Rwanda, and it all comes down to the same thing again. The leadership, the insistence on critical thinking. We're not just here to tick a box. And I think that's one of the reasons that drew us to this amazing country. We saw something that was very real. Transition in progress, unbelievable, of course. So let's talk a moment about RideForUnity. Yeah. Why not? And we are very blessed. We're before an amazing event here in August, which will be the launch for a permanent hub and installation for RideForUnity in this country. And we are so excited. You know, we talk about what we can do to collaborate between sports and education, so that sports is even a stepping stone,
yes,
or a vehicle towards excellence. In education, in business, and in any sector. How did RideForUnity, and when RideForUnity first came across your desk? I'm interested to know, what was your first impression and why did you pursue it?
First impression was, okay, you know, cyclism is there, can be a competition, it can be, but when people tag a cause or a passion of something they like or they love, with impact, that is interesting. Because RideForUnity, for me, that's what it makes. These are people who love cycling. I am passionate by a certain sport, but there is also an impact they are looking for, which is retail. And that rhymes in our vision as well. We want to have sport industry that is impactful in all its way. Because sport is a driver of good health is a driver of good living. As I told you, like mentally, soul-wise, it teaches you discipline, it teaches you teamwork, it teaches you changing, teaches you failing and standing up again and pursuing. It teaches you a lot of values in this life that you can apply in anything. And sport is a driver of economic transformation. So when I saw first time RideForUnity, this is interesting because this is the type of sport industry we are looking for. And the whole structure you have, which is open to bringing on board different type of people, different thinking, different originality, but with one cause of trying to see how can we use our passion to impact others and to bring transformation. That was very inspiring for us.
We are very, very privileged to have been welcomed. And as I said, we've got a long way to go. This is a long-term partnership with this country. And, we thought Rwanda sounds like a perfect place. It was only when we set foot here for the first time that we felt total alignment with what Rwanda is trying to do, the vision, the pillars that sport bring to the table, as you talk about. And so we are very, very happy to be here and very grateful. And we hope to be of service
happy to have you.
To all the communities and to help Rwanda fulfill its very, very ambitious vision. Yeah. Minister Nelly, it has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you this morning. Thank you very, very much.
And looking forward to August. And for those who haven't yet joined, please stay tuned. Something very important is coming along.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.